Hello and welcome to No First Physics, where we come to the point immediately. In the previous video, we found the electric field along the axis of a dipole. Now, let us look at a different situation. What happens when we find the electric field perpendicular to the dipole axis as shown over here? Does it behave in the same way or is it different? This line, the perpendicular line, is also known as the equatorial line of the dipole. So in this video, we will calculate the electric field at a point on the equatorial line of the dipole and understand the key idea behind it. Let's get started.
So in the previous video, we looked at electric field due to a dipole along the axis, and we had this situation wherein we had negative charge minus q and a positive charge plus q placed 2l distance apart, and this constitutes a dipole. And we obtained the electric field due to these two charges or this dipole at a distance x from the center. So this distance is x and this point is p. So we obtained the electric field at this particular location. Now we obtained this equation as E net is equal to 2k p by x cube. So this was the equation we had obtained. This is also, or this is usually denoted by the symbol E parallel. So E parallel because we are finding out this electric field parallel to the direction of the dipole moment. Therefore, this is denoted by the symbol E parallel. One more thing, if I want to put E parallel in its vector form, then the vector form will be 2k p by x cube. The direction of this is along the dipole moment. So I'll take the vector value of p. So these two have the same direction. Therefore, this is the vector form of the net electric field at point x. So this is the vector form and this gives me the magnitude. This is what we had done in the previous case. Now, what we will do in this case is find out the electric field due to this dipole along its perpendicular bisector. So this is the center, so I'll take the perpendicular bisector. So let's look at this diagram, and this is minus q again, and at distance 2l we have plus q. The distance is 2l, this is the center O, let us say, and this is the perpendicular bisector, and this is point P at distance x. So this distance is x, and I want to find out the net electric field over here. This distance will be L, this distance will be L, because the total distance is 2L. So this is L. Let us call this distance R. So both these distances are R. So what I can see is I can see a couple of things. One is that R square is equal to x square plus L square. Because R is the hypotenuse, this distance is x square plus L square will give me R square. That's one. Secondly, if I take this angle as theta, then cos theta, which we will use later on, cos theta will be equal to the adjacent side, that is L, by hypotenuse R. So square root of x square plus L square. I have done this over here because we'll be using it later on in the equation. Okay, so we have these things about this dipole. Our objective is to find out the net electric field over here. So let's begin. Let us first begin with the magnitude. So E1, let us call this charge 1, let us call this charge 2. So the magnitude of the electric field at point P due to charge minus q will be equal to kq divided by the distance. The distance is r. Over here we have r square. So r square is equal to x square plus L square. This is the magnitude because of charge minus q. As far as E2 is concerned, kq again, distance is same, r square, so x square plus L square. And therefore what I can do is I can say E1 is equal to E2. Both have the same magnitude, and we'll call this E. So we have obtained the magnitudes of the two forces. So let us draw this diagram again over here. So minus q plus q, this is plus q, and this is the perpendicular bisector, this is r distance, this is point P, this distance is L, this distance is r, this distance is x, this angle is theta, and we have obtained the magnitude of the electric field at this particular point P because of the two charges. Now let us look at the direction of E1 and E2. Since this is a negative charge, the direction of the electric field will be towards it. So this is E1. This is positive charge, so the direction of the electric field will be away from it. So this is E2. So now I know the direction of E1 and E2. So I need to find out now the resultant of E1 and E2. So these are the two vectors E1 and E2. If this angle is theta, we can very clearly say this angle will be theta because you can see this is a common line and these two are parallel. So this angle will be theta. If this is theta, this angle also has to be theta because both these vectors have the same magnitude. So if this angle is theta, this angle also has to be equal to theta. And if this is theta, this will also turn out to be theta. Okay, now let us look at this diagram closely. This diagram I will show once again. I'll magnify this diagram. This is E1, this is E2. Both of them have the same magnitude, E1 and E2. This angle is theta, this angle is also theta. Now E1 vector, I can split it into its two components. So let me show the components. This will be the vertical component of E1. This will be the horizontal component of E1. If this is theta, this component will be E cos theta, and this component will be E sin theta. Same way, E2 is concerned, this is E cos theta, and this will be E sin theta. Please note that E1 and E2 have the same magnitude E, therefore I have taken E cos theta, not E1 and E2. I could have taken E1 cos theta and this as E1 sin theta, and I could have taken this as E2 cos theta and E2 sin theta. But E1 and E2 are equal, so I can take them as E. Now, we can very clearly see that the sin theta components cancel out each other because they are in the opposite direction. This is acting in the upward direction, this is acting in the downward direction. Both of them have the same magnitude, therefore they will cancel out each other. As far as E cos theta is concerned, they are acting parallel to each other. They are in the same direction, therefore the magnitude of this net electric field, E net, which we denote by E perpendicular, is equal to 2E cos theta. E cos theta plus E cos theta. Right, so I now have the magnitude of the resultant, E perpendicular. So let us put the corresponding values now for E perpendicular. E perpendicular is equal to 2 into E. What is the value of E? We obtained E as kq upon x square plus L square, and cos theta as L upon square root of x square plus L square. So this will be kq by x square plus L square, and cos theta is L by square root of x square plus L square. So now if I rearrange this, I can write the numerator as k into q into 2L, and the denominator I can write as x square plus L square raised to the power 3 by 2. How did we arrive at this? X square plus L square is basically x square plus L square is square root of x square plus L square multiplied by square root of x square plus L square, and we have one more x square plus L square, so we have 3 square root of x square plus L square. So I can write this as square root of x square plus L square whole raised to the power 3, and square root of x square plus L square is also written as x square plus L square as raised to the power half. So this is half, and on that we have 3, so we get x square plus L square 3 upon 2, and this can be written as k. Now this term in the bracket is the dipole moment, so I will write it as p upon x square plus L square raised to the power 3 by 2. As we did in the previous case, L is very small, so L will tend to be is equal to 0, and therefore E perpendicular magnitude will come out to be kp. X is 0, so I will have x square raised to the power 3 by 2. 2 will get cancelled, I'll get x cube, and we can take this as the magnitude of E perpendicular. E perpendicular is equal to k cube upon x cube. If you remember in the previous case, E parallel was 2 kp by x cube, whereas here we get kp by x cube, is half of that. As far as the vector form is concerned, I can write E perpendicular vector is equal to kp by x cube. Now as we saw in the previously, both of them have opposite direction. We saw it over here that both of them have direction opposite to each other. How? Let us look at, this is the direction of E perpendicular. E cos theta, both of them are acting in this direction, so it is acting in this particular direction, and we know that the direction of P is from negative to positive. If I show it over here, for example, over here, this is the direction of E perpendicular, and we know that P acts from negative to positive, so this is the direction of P. So both of them are in the opposite direction, and therefore the vector form of this particular equation can be put with a negative sign over here. So this is the vector form of this particular equation. Thus we have obtained the magnitude and direction of the electric field perpendicular to along the perpendicular bisector at a distance x. The last thing that we want to mention over here is that E parallel is equal to 2 times E perpendicular. As we saw here, it is kp, whereas previous time we had 2 kp. So this is 2 times E perpendicular. Of course, there is a condition, it is for the same distance x, when the distances are same from the center of the dipole. In this case, it is along the axis. In this case, it is along the perpendicular bisector. If both the distances are same, then we get this relationship between the E parallel and E perpendicular. Okay, so with this, we have completed this discussion on electric field due to dipole along the perpendicular bisector. Next, we will discuss electric field due to dipole at any point, neither along the axis nor along the perpendicular distance, but at any location inside the space. Thank you.
So that's how we calculate the electric field perpendicular to the dipole axis. Now we have seen two important cases, one along the axis and second perpendicular to it. But the real question is what happens at a point anywhere around the dipole as shown over here. That's exactly what we will tackle in the next video. And in the meantime, if this explanation made things clearer to you, do like the video, subscribe to Know First Physics because it really helps the channel grow and reach more students. So let's keep building our physics intuition one concept at a time on Know First Physics. Thank you.